spent the first 10 years of my life in Africa. The first 5 years in Zimbabwe, the next 5 years in South Africa. Then I moved to the US. And if you know anything about African culture, African tradition, it is that we are spiritual people. And when I say spiritual people, I mean very spiritual people. Everything is determined and dictated off of spirituality. However, with that also comes the dark side of the spirituality. That being superstitions, dogmas, traditions, and I guess an overall defeatist or powerless mentality and belief system, right? Now, obviously, when you're in that space, like when you're in your spirituality, you're in your religion or whatever it may be, you don't see yourself as somebody who has a limiting belief. You are just seeing yourself as somebody who believes in your God and is doing a certain type of thing or certain things, making sure that you are not cursed. And it was the exact same for me. Now, I was born into a Christian household. I was born into a religious household. And so for me, the belief was if I followed these rules, I would not be cursed. If I did those things outside of those rules, I would be cursed. And so I looked at the world as the cursed versus the uncursed, the fallen versus the saved, right? And again, when you look at this paradigm, sometimes you may think to yourself, when you're in the religion or when you're in the belief system, you think everybody else has it wrong, right? That's the entire thing about religion is I'm right, you're wrong, therefore you're the cursed one and I am the blessed one, I'm the saved one. However, when you go into, African spirituality, etc., you will see that this belief of being cursed is so profound, like it's everywhere, it's so prolific, it's in every sector of life that if those people, let's say if a certain family is failing and struggling and they've done so year after year or decade after decade, it's blamed on some sort of curse that is on the family. And if those people are thriving, it's because there's some sort of witchcraft that person did. Like everything is just based on these people are cursed and those people are doing some type of witchcraft, which is just like a curse for prosperity, which at the end, both people are basically screwed. Both people are in allegiance with the evil side or whatever you want to call it. And so when I was young, I really saw it from this paradigm. I saw it as I'm the Christian, I'm the saved. You are not, therefore y'all are cursed. Good luck. Now, the older I got, I started to see that, wait, there are people who are believing what I believe, but they seem to be getting no results, or they seem to be, in poverty. They seem to be sick. They seem to be depressed. How does that make sense? How does this make sense that they are following the rules and yet they're not getting the results? Those people are not following the rules and they are getting the results. We're supposed to be the abundant ones. We're supposed to be the ones who are thriving and prospering. But then the deeper I looked, the more I saw that we were the ones with the least amount of prosperity, the least amount of joy. And this will be justified, through the Bible, which would say, well, you're going to suffer for your religion and you're going to go through trials and tribulations and, money or the love of money is the root of all evil. All these belief systems, these limiting or these disempowering belief systems that we buy into when we're first being indoctrinated into religion. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, that means I'm still blessed. I'm blessed because those people are actually only being blessed because they are in allegiance with the devil, or they're not being blessed. They're being given things because they're with the devil. Those people are successful in the world's eyes because they're with the devil. But me, I'm struggling, broke, pockets empty because I love the Lord and because I'm doing the right thing. That was truly my belief system, not understanding that I was actually the one under a curse. I was the one under a curse, and the curse was the one that I was placing on myself, or at least reinforcing on myself the older I got. And that curse was the limiting beliefs that I was buying into that were passed down to me. Now we wonder, why does it seem that 100 years, 300 years of a family line, they seem to always have broken relationships? There seems to always be sickness in the family. There seems to be always disorder and chaos and toxicity in the family. What is this? It's got to be a generational curse. And I do definitely stand behind the fact that it is a generational curse. However, it's not what we think. It's not a generational curse because those people are just doomed to fail. It's not some karma that those people have to live out or a dharma that those people have, upon their lives. It's not because those are the fallen people or those people have, wronged God in some type of way. It's simply because those individuals have bought into a thought process, a belief system that they are cursed. And as you believe within yourself, so are you. As we think within our minds and we believe in our hearts, that's what our lives become. Our lives are a manifestation or projection a personification or a physical representation of our internal beliefs about ourselves. If I believe that I am wealthy and deserving of wealth, and I truly believe it at my core, that's my experience. If I believe that I'm broke down, dusty, and broke, and I don't deserve any good thing, then that's going to be the experience of my life. And so think about it. When you have the mentality of we are cursed, you're already putting yourself in that space, or in the I guess in the category of an individual who doesn't deserve good things. And again, this isn't just found when you go to African villages sometimes, or a village somewhere in the middle of East Asia, or a village somewhere in the middle of the South in America. Like, this is things that you find within your civilized society, your everyday high and mighty individuals with the white collar jobs. Like, this is everywhere. Whether it's through a Bible or whether it's through witchcraft, whatever it looks like, whichever craft that it is still a curse of the mind. It is a belief system that was bought into by an individual or a group of individuals. And so when we talk about even an individual, let's say, getting a curse on them, right? And back home, you would hear these stories like, oh, there's a witch doctor who's so powerful that they'll say all these 7 people are going to drop like flies in 7 days. And then 7 days later, every single one of these people drops down dead. And you think to yourself, man, this person has so much power. This person has so much authority in the spiritual world to put a curse on somebody, and everybody's helpless. When in reality, all that happened was those individuals bought into the idea that that person had power over them. Therefore, their entire physiology had to respond and react, because as we believe, so are we. Whatever we believe, we're going to manifest as our life experience. And I'll give you an example. You can research this for yourself. There was a story of a man who was trapped inside of like not an ice box, inside of like a freezer or a cooler for meat. Maybe a butcher or worked in that industry. I don't remember his role, but I do remember the story very vividly. And so this man locked himself into this room, and some hours later, maybe 5 or 6 hours later, he was found in that room, done, croaked, lifeless. And so the people went to the room and they wondered what happened to this man. Like, what could have happened to this individual? Yes, he's in this fridge, but the fridge was only 57 degrees, which, if anybody knows what 57 degrees is like, 57 degrees in some states in America is a warm day. Like, that's a nice day in the middle of Minnesota somewhere, right? And so this guy ends up again lifeless in this cooler. And so they find a letter next to this man. And it was a letter that he wrote. And the man wrote, I'm probably going to freeze, to my demise. And so tell my family I love them, this, that, and the third. This man had written this letter with an expectation that that was going to be his fate. And sure enough, it was. And when they actually did the autopsy, they found out that his organs are frozen, etc. Now imagine that. That was the power of his belief in freezing to his end. Imagine that. Just think about that. All it took was for him to believe and be absolutely bought in, for his entire physiology, his entire biology, his entire body to buy into that, period. And so think about what's happening every single time you believe that you are cursed in an area. Oh man, relationships just never work out for us. This family, like whether it's this tribe or it's this family, or whether it's just me, it does not matter. What we believe for ourselves is what we're going to have as our life experience. And so some folk are so afraid of somebody putting a curse on them, right? You just afraid of somebody putting the juju voodoo on you, getting a voodoo doll and manipulating you. You're afraid of somebody getting one of them trapeze puppets. I don't know if it's a trapeze, but I'm throwing out words, okay? Okay, bear with me. Somebody's using some type of puppet with strings that looks just like you, and you're afraid that you're being controlled by this external force, when in truth, it is only in your mind, only what you're willing to accept. So if you accept that you are cursed, then you're going to have that manifest in your life, the representation of what you believe that curse is. Your subconscious mind is always taking instructions, always listening for what you're telling it to do. What do you want from it? It is literally saying your wish is your command 24/7. So what you're feeding it continuously is going to produce out as your life experience. So again, if you are in a mindset Your mind is set on the idea that there is some type of curse on you, some type of curse on your people, some type of curse on your tribe, on your country. You're going to have that experience. And this is something else to be taught about in religion. I'm not trying to step on no toes. I was raised more religious than most folks would even comprehend for themselves. Period. And that is when you're in that religious space and you are believing these different doctrines, you are living those out. You're manifesting those things. So you believe that you're not worthy, that you're not deserving, that you are, you are nothing but dust, and your own worth comes from something external, or that you are a fallen being and you are, less than the dust. Like these ideas that are permeated. I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about. Like if you're raised the way I was raised, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you weren't, this might sound crazy to you. You might think to yourself, who on earth would tell their kid that you're not deserving of anything, you're not worthy of anything, that you're fallen, that you're a broken person? But if you look at least 2.7 billion people on this planet, they have some kind of programming like that in them, and it comes from a very specific subgroup, main group on this planet. That's all I'm going to leave it at. I'm not, about to bash Christianity. I'm not about to bash anything. I'm just speaking it as it is. When you have that belief system, you're going to play that belief system out. You're going to live as a broken person, live as a fallen person. You're going to always feel as if you're not enough. You're going to feel inadequate continuously because that is the belief that you were bought into. And so when it comes into breaking the curse, it is as simple as choosing what you believe. It sounds so simple, y'all. But I promise you, there is no other way, period. Because the same way that you got in is the same way you're going to get out. The same door that you entered is the same door that you're going to exit. The door that you entered was through your mind. It was through your thoughts and through your focused attention. And your focused attention created an emotional response and reaction. And those emotions continue to permeate. As you thought, your emotions were triggered. As you thought, your emotions were triggered. As you thought, your emotions were triggered. And that became the natural response until it started to manifest as your very life, as the actions that you take. And that became the program that you lived under. So you are literally under a hypnosis. That's all a spell really is. That's all a curse really is. It is hypnosis of the mind. And it's a hypnosis that you created for yourself because you permeated it. You perpetuated it. Maybe the message was repeated when you were a child, right? And okay, you were defenseless at that point. But at a certain point in your life, when you became conscious that you were the thinker of your thoughts, if that ever happened, hopefully that happens for all of us, you started to reinforce that belief because it was the one that you were comfortable with. It's the one that you understood. It's the one that was, easily and readily available. And for us as humans, we like to do things with the least amount of energy. It's energy conservation. That's the word. Energy conservation. And so our brain will go into that state where it's looking to do the easiest thing. It's looking to get the most bang for its buck. So it's going to get the most amount of glucose for the least amount of action, which is also why we'll sit down and, order a pizza rather than run and go to the grocery store and get things that are healthy for us. But that's a story for a whole nother time. Point is, we were built in a way physiologically where we're always looking to do the easiest thing, to go down the simplest route, because we are habitual creatures. Those habits are to help us. It's actually to benefit us. It's not our enemy. It's actually our best friend. It's just that we have not yet learned how to use those systems to benefit us in the short and the long term. Like, think about it. Imagine if you had to think about tying your shoe every single time for the rest of your life, or you had to think about how you brush your teeth for the rest of your life. Like every single motion, every single movement, you had to relearn everything you were doing, as opposed to it becoming habitual to where you do it on autopilot. Imagine if you had to think about driving all the time, right? Like, I'm sure you've had an experience where you were in a car and you were gone, and all of a sudden, hopefully you weren't asleep, but you were just in a daze, you're in your head, you're listening to whatever you listen to, you're jamming out, and all of a sudden you get to your destination 25 minutes later, and you think to yourself, where did the time go? I didn't see anything that happened, I don't remember anything. That's because it was a habit That driving has become a habit. That route has become a habit. And so when we're building a habit at first, it's not going to feel natural. It's not going to feel organic. But the more that we permeate it, the more that we allow ourselves to repeat it time and time again, it becomes natural. That's how we built the first habits. We just did it time and time again. Now, does that mean that in order to quote unquote not be in that curse or in that limiting belief system, in that destructive and disempowering belief system, we need to continuously do this for the next 20 years? No. What it means is we take our first step by first being aware that this is a belief. It's something that I am believing, but that does not make it true. A belief does not make it the reality. It only makes it our perception of reality or our own experience in this overall reality. One person could be living a reality or a truth to them that is wealth, and another person that is living, no, one person is living a perception that is power, perception that is wealth, and another person disempowerment and scarcity. Both of those are belief systems. Both of those are also experiences that these two are having, maybe even in the same household, in the same city, in the same industry, whatever it may be. The only thing that differentiates those two individuals is their thought process, right? Their mindset. Where is their mindset or tuned to? Is it on frequency FM or is it on scarcity FM? And so that's what we're going to shift. When you are breaking a curse, it is just breaking that mental hypnosis, that mental continuous repetition into something that is more empowering. It is truly that simple. Truly, truly that simple. But we have to make the conscious decision to do that work, the conscious decision to integrate our thoughts and our emotions, to not feed ourselves ideas and concepts that are feeding into that old belief system, but feed ourselves new ideas. Like imagine this, if you now started to listen to more empowering messages online as opposed to what feeds your disempowering belief, like if a person believes that they were born to be poor, they would just listen to information about poverty and victimhood and, why people are struggling, etc. That is what they would tune themselves to. Whereas when an individual knows their power, when they understand who they truly are, they would tune completely or as completely as they can into empowering messages. And those are going to be reinforced. And that's going to become their own perception and their own paradigm. And that will become their own personal reality. Your personality is nothing more than your personal reality, and you are the one who creates it. You're the one who dictates it. It is completely in your hands, period. Now, if you're somebody in this process of shifting your entire self-image, the way you see yourself and the way your life projects, and you need somebody as a guide, I am the individual for you at this very moment in time. There's no coincidence that you are here. Therefore, I want to get on the phone with you. I want us to book a one-on-one consultation. You can do so by going into the description below. Click the link that is going to lead you to my calendar. Book a time, book a day that works for both of us, and let's crack these curses. Let's get over this generational repetition of these limiting beliefs. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace.